Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Max Reacts video. Today we're checking out Marvel Crisis Protocol. They've just announced one of their new characters that I am ludicrously excited about. Let's check it out. Ghost Rider. It's time to pay for some sins. Ghost Rider has been announced. Awesome model. Love his chains flying in the air. Cannot get enough of this guy. Cannot get enough of Nicolas Cage in my game. Give me more of this. Model's absolutely incredible. Literally the flames coming off the motorbike. Absolutely love it. He's also got a huge base size. So it's same base size as M.o.d.o.k and Hulk, which means this guy's going to have a ton of mobility. And we're going to dive straight into it and check it out. This is the Ghost Rider's card. We're going to go from top down. Pretty simple. He's got 7 health. A really tonky boy. He has got medium movement. Now keep this in mind, one of those huge Hulk bases or M.o.d.o.k bases, this guy's going to have some serious mobility around the field. And I'm going to jump into that in just a moment because one of his abilities, Hell on Wheels, don't get ahead of yourself here, we'll jump into a moment, gives this man some crazy movement. But medium movement on a large base is not something to kind of shy away from or smirk at. This guy is going to be all over the table all the time. It's going to be very important again for some of these abilities as well, not just Hell on Wheels. But 3 size, look pretty average on here. Wouldn't expect him too much bigger. That fits a lot of the other 3 size characters. What's important is if you get some flying models with drop-off, you can put him straight into the fight very early in the game. This guy's got such a crazy amount of mobility. He can move everywhere around the board. It's really important. Again, I'm going to jump into that one kind of with his abilities a bit later on. But the movement on this guy is huge, and it's really relevant. 5 threat, though. Let's keep this in mind. The threat level is definitely keeping Ghost Rider in check and what his synergies can be within this game. He's a hugely threat-based character where having 5 threat, again, just hard to find those synergies, but he's well worth the threat. His abilities here are really flipping the game. He takes some of those bigger, higher threat characters and really holds them in check through things like Penance Stare and Hex and etc. And I'll explain all of this in just a moment. We'll get into it. But look, defensive stats. 3 physical, 4 energy, 4 mystic. Again, pretty tonky guy. Absolutely love it. The Hex ability is really relevant in here that he gets in just a moment. And I can't explain how his defenses actually work with that. But he's actually a very tanky guy that you just don't expect some of the time. You know, 4 dice defense is already huge, but it gets better. So look, Chains of Damnation, that's his stereotypical attack where he gets a bunch of power for hitting you. 3 range, so pretty solid range considering he's got a large base. He's already moving relatively quickly. 6 dice, like that's not a small amount of dice. Definitely above the average, but probably around the appropriate threat level for 5 threats. But if you get a wild, you Hex the opponent. Now, what Hex is here, it's really important. It stops criticals happening when your opponent rolls defense, dodge, or attack dice. So that's really huge. That's why Ghost Rider is actually tankier than you think, because if you roll crits, they just don't start multiplying. So if you've got 6 dice, they're staying at 6 dice attacks. You're not getting your 8s or maybe 9 attacks if you're really lucky. They're staying at 6. Now, they still count as a hit, yes, but they stop that expansion and kind of multiplying of them, which is huge, which is why, again, if you've got a 6 dice attack against his 4 defense, that's where it's staying, 6 versus 4. So, you know, you're maybe going to get 2 at most, probably around 3 or so damage if you're really lucky against Ghost Rider. So he's going to stand up to 2, 3, 4 hits sometimes, which is absolutely huge. That's provided you have a 6 dice attack, which is a larger dice. Jumping on to Flames of Hell, Beam 3, again, so we can hit multiple people with this, which is really huge. 5 dice, not as strong, 2 power. So look, you're getting some trade-offs here for hitting multiple characters at once. But if you deal damage, it doesn't require a wild. This is just if you deal damage, they get the Incinerate special condition. Now, this is absolutely huge because if you have the Incinerate special condition, you lose a defense dice when rolling. Now, this is absolutely huge because, again, if you think of Hex, when you roll your crits and roll defense dices, they don't count. You don't multiply that. Plus, you lose a defense dice when you're going into this. So if I'm using, you know, Chains of Damnation against someone like Venom, someone like Hulk that already have low energy defense, if I can take out one of those dice and drop you to 1 defense dice, like you're just taking the attack. It is huge. You know, I'm throwing 6 dice at you. If that one happens to be a crit, it's not going anywhere either. So you're staying at 1. You know, and it's just bonkers amounts of damage coming out from this guy. Really capable of taking out some of those bigger threat characters as well. Even the low threats, you know, if I've given a 4 or 5 health character 1 less defense dice, and I'm coming in with Chains of Damnation, you got 2 energy defense against your 4 health character, and you're not critting, you're just killing people. You really are. Now look, moving on to Penance Stare. This is another really giant killer. It's kind of what I'm referring to it as. Range 3, 5 dice. Again, stereotypical kind of stuff here. 5 power. That's huge. It's a huge amount of power. Keep that in mind. Get into something like five power in a turn is not easy. It's going to take a couple turns to kind of build up on that. But read what this does. All right. So you add the attack dice. You add attack dice to your roll based on how much power your opponent has. Maximum of 5 though. But if they've got 5 power, you roll 10 dice at them for 5 power. It's huge. If you're coming up against Hulks, Ebony Maws, Thors, all these people that are huge power drains that require that heavy level of power, you can just end their career. Because not only are you rolling 10 dice, but instead of gaining power based on the damage that you deal, they lose power based on the damage that you deal. So if I'm rolling 10 dice, you're incinerated, you're Hex. Say you got the dream team, you've got 1 less dice, your crits aren't multiplying here. I'm rolling 10 dice at you. You've got probably 2 defense dice, maybe 3 at most. I roll 6 dice, 6 hits. Just say, medium roll at 6 hits. You roll all 3 defenses. I'm still whacking you for 3, taking 3 of your power. You're now on 2 power. Now, you tell me as a 5-threat character, one of your big boys like Hulk, like Thanos, like Venom, that if you have that little power, your turn's not just wasted. Right? Like, you get to maybe get an attack in, you have to work your way back up there. So Penance Stare is so key at taking down some of those giant killers. And you can see from something like that alone why he's a 5-threat character, because he really can just take people out of the game, which is huge. Now, look, jumping into his abilities real quick, you have Hell on Wheels. Again, I mentioned this before. Advance the character long. It's 3 power, so keep that in mind. It's a huge amount of power. But my lord, you can take this guy on a large base as well. You can take him across the map. He's doing laps around you. He really is just doing laps around the board. He can be wherever he wants, whenever he wants. And this is really important for Wicked's Judgment and Spirit of Vengeance. So Wicked's Judgment says that when you attack an ally within range 3, he can spend 2 power at the end of the attack. And for each crit you've rolled, you take a damage. So that's really, really huge because it means, say you max roll out and you get a bunch of crits and things like that and you do it awesomely and I don't roll well and you daze my guy, cool. But you're also taking the 4 to 5 damage back or 3 to 4 damage back. On the flip side, if I defend against all those crits and say you roll 2 or 3 crits and I've rolled my defenses and stopped that, awesome. I can still use this power to attack back on you and deal 2 to 3 free damage. Keep in mind, you don't get to roll defenses on this. It's nothing like that. You just suffer the damage. Now, I was playing a game against Bill the other day. Should be online probably tomorrow or the next day, so please check that out. It was Black Order versus Asgardians, and I had Proxima Midnight come in the middle of those fights and was bodyguarding, was using her ability to kind of roll 5 dice instead of taking damage, and if I rolled blanks, if I defended all those dice, I get to deal damage back. I dazed a bunch of his characters for it, so spoilers alert. But if you can do something like that where you've got Ghost Rider and Proxima Midnight next to each other, she uses the superpower, gets her 5 dice, takes 0 damage, blocks it all, you take 3 damage back, you rolled a bunch of crits, I can Wicked's Judgment, you take another 2 or 3 damage back. Like on your turn, yes, I've spent 4 power, but I've dazed or killed your character because of it. So I think like Wicked's Judgment is actually really, really powerful and it punishes people for attacking your allies, which is huge. Doesn't work too well with Hex, keep in mind. Obviously, if they're Hex, they're not going to roll as many crits, so you don't have that higher chance of cascading along. But he's definitely punishing you for rolling crits in the first place, which is absolutely huge and awesome. Finally, we have Spirit of Vengeance. After an attack made by a character is within range 3 is resolved. If that attack targeted another allied character, you gain a power. So all of this is a huge power sink. Penance Stare, 5 power. Hell on Wheels, 3 power. But if you're not targeting down Ghost Rider, and keep in mind, he's already got huge defense on 344, 7 health. He can take out some of your crit rolls, so he's really not getting spiked out of the game. So it's hard to try and focus him down. But if you're trying to take on his allies instead, he's suddenly getting a bunch of power to really pump in those threats. To Hell on Wheels push himself around the board. To Wicked's Judgment just punish you back. Like he only needs 1 power. If you attack one of his guys, Wicked's Judgment's there straight away. All he needs is 1 power. So turn 1, if you're attacking the guy next to him, he can just punish you for it straight away. And I think if you put him with Cabal, where he can he gets power for attacking straight away. If you put him with Avengers, where he gets a free, or he gets 1 cheaper superpower as well. Like you can have this active turn 1 of the game where the threats are there. When they're attacking you turn 1, Ghost Rider's relevant. He's in the fight straight away. So I think this character is awesome. Really, really well thought out, really thematic. Shout out to Atomic Mass Games. You guys have made all these characters incredibly thematic. I'm crazy excited for this one. As soon as he's out, he's getting painted up and he's getting on a table. And by that, I mean we're in lockdown, so that can't exactly happen. But I will be on Tabletop Simulator every Wednesday, live with Bill, playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. So check out our Twitch stream, twitch.tv/GeneralGamesAUS. That's General Games Oz. Or our YouTube channel, which you're clearly on now, and you can check out some of these awesome games that we've got. So look, pre-orders for this are up on our website as well. I'm going to pass you on to Ali. She's going to tell you how you can follow us on our social medias, and you can check out all of those abilities to pre-order and get these particular models and all our different variants of models in your hands as soon as they're released. So please stay safe, be healthy. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hey guys, it's Ellie. If you liked that video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more interesting content. You can also follow us on Facebook for more information and events. Likewise, follow us on Instagram for those behind the scenes photos and videos. See ya!